Today on the Cameron Journal podcast, I am joined by Chancellor Jackson. He has written a book about a quite harrowing experience. There's a few places on the planet one never wants to go to prison: the Philippines, Thailand, possibly China. Well, this person has survived the latter of those three, and we're going to hear all about it and maybe get into some writing process and all those type of things. So, welcome to the Cameron Journal podcast.
Hey, Cam, appreciate you. Blessings and balance to you. Blessings and balance to the viewers. Most importantly, man, big shout out to y'all.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I want to dive right into the very beginning. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your book?
Okay, so Chancellor K. Jackson is the name. Born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Uh, Went to Stetson University where I played football there for all 4 years. Then I lived in China for 6 months before things went left. Of course, you know what I'm saying, got locked up out there. Came back to America. Um, Began writing my first book, 14 Days in Beijing, which has ranked #1 on Amazon over 15 times in multiple genres. Written and published other books after that. Now I got my own publishing company, and I coach people through the writing and publishing process.
Very nice. Well, we'll have to talk a little bit of shop then. In my other life, I'm the director of publications, anthologies, something other publishing, and I
Oh,
started out self-publishing before I joined them. So we'll get to we'll get there. We'll get there. It's the very beginning. Um, let's start with the 14 days in Beijing. So you were living there for 6 months. What were you doing there?
so I landed my first job out there teaching English to kids. So
Ah.
that's education. I was teaching kids as young as 3 years old all the way up to about 12. But I was mainly working with the elementary school age range. It was absolutely harmonious. Kids were a lot of fun. China was a lot of fun. Meeting the foreigners, the locals, the natives. Food, immaculate. Culture, it's beautiful. So yeah, China was absolutely lovely, all in all.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you end up being detained for 2 weeks by the Chinese? Let's get right to the mess of things.
So it's April 4th, 2019. I'm finna get ready to head to an event to meet some friends that we was going, you know what I'm saying, just have a good time. So I was at the apartment by myself pre-gaming. I'm drinking a little Chinese wine cooler, smoking a little cannabis to get done, make sure I got everything I need before I walk out the door. And I hear a knock. Look through the people, and there's still three officers from the Beijing police. So, of course, you know what I'm saying, I'm spooked at this point, but they come in, they question me about drugs. I'm sitting there playing fool, like I don't know what they're talking about. Then they drug test me right there. I was like, okay, yeah, it's over with. Failed the drug test, of course. Um, Now the cuffs are on me. And at this point, all forms of communication cease to exist. So I don't know what's going to happen next. There's no more communication as far as what we're going to do. Um, I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to learn as I go. So, yeah, so pretty much 14 days is about just telling the whole story. Once I actually got to the jail where I was housed at, I was locked up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 15 minutes to a cell, 9 wooden beds, 3 soups a day. And all I had was a plastic bowl and a plastic spoon.
That's quite intense. I hesitate to ask. What was it? I mean, you've kind of given us a good description already, but I mean, what was the day to day like trying to exist in this space? Obviously you stand out because you're not Chinese.
Correct.
Obviously you don't speak Chinese, or Mandarin rather. So no one to talk to. What was the day to day like?
Literally, so I was like locked in 24 hours a day. We do not leave that cell.
Yeah.
So it's really either standing up, sitting down on the bunks. And that's just pretty much it. Just in the space. There's TV in the cell, but of course we're in China, so I don't know. I don't know what's being said, or you know what I'm saying. I'm not even paying that no mind because I can't even comprehend what it's saying. So I was just left to my own devices. I'm saying just a lot of reflecting time to reflect. But that was only for 3 days. So I was in it. I was the only foreigner, only English speaker, and the first cell I was in. And then on day 4, they moved me to a new cell. and that's when I'm immersed with two other foreigners. Well, three other foreigners. Two of them are English speakers. One of them doesn't speak English at all. But
Hmm.
so that's what things get better. Is just because I can at least talk to somebody, one, and then I'll get to learn about how the jail operates. What are the rules? Because nothing. I don't know what's going on. I've just been in the cell for 3 days now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but I'm learning so much about how the process works essentially, but I still don't know how long I'm going to be there. But ironically enough, everybody else knows all their information to the fullest detail, what their charges are specifically, how long they supposed to serve, the whole nine. I'm just the only one that don't know anything.
Convenient. That's funny how that works. Uh, Fascinating. So then how did you eventually get out of that situation?
On random day, they just called me to come on. I would be on day 14.
And then they never told you what the actual problem was, what it was supposed to be. Like there was basically no information. They just took you, kept you, and then got rid of you.
Pretty much, essentially.
That makes sense. So then after your stay in the jail, how much longer were you in China?
Oh, they took me straight to my apartment to pack up the rest of my stuff and then straight to the airport.
Not even an hour. That's
Literally, like, yeah, boom, boom.
that yes, that certainly makes a lot of sense. So then what inspired you to write about it and what's the main message of the book?
So a good friend of mine named DeMarco Reddins, he was a traditionally published author before we graduated high school in 2014. So years later, you know what I'm saying, we was just hanging out. He's like, "Hey, bro, you think about writing a book about the experience?" I was like, "Psh, man, that's a good idea. I don't even know where to start, but that's a good idea." He took it even further, took my phone, went to my notes, and left me a little outline. I just started filling in the outline. Caught a flow for how I wanted to tell the story, moved it to Google Docs so I could type it up. 4 months later, it was written, and then just spent the next 6 months just polishing it up and just getting it ready for publishing.
Excellent. That's quite impressive, but an excellent way to start. I love a good outline.
So,
Yeah, I've never understood the people who can just sit down and write stuff and have it come out. I need to have a plan of action. I need to know where things are going. I have to structure my thoughts. Otherwise,
yeah,
nothing will happen.
yeah.
Like,
That's why I be
it's
preaching to a lot of people. It's like that's pretty much you creating the outline. That's your blueprint for the book that you're trying to write. Like so, it's like all the confusion or the anxiety of like, okay, all these like you just said, I got all these thoughts. If I'm not organizing it and structuring it, so I can just go and attack, it's going to be overwhelming when you're trying to write it. So yeah, I tested that.
No, certainly. So no, at the start, you mentioned that you had gotten into more writing, publishing, and written stuff since then. What else have you written?
So I have two romance novels: "You Love, You Learn," and "Real Love Never Dies." So 14 Days in Beijing, "You Love, You Learn," "Real Love Never Dies" is a trilogy. All three stories, you know what I'm saying, go together. But it's just different genres. So it's just crazy how it ended up coming out because none of this was planned. Everything has been freestyled. You know what I'm saying? So it's just been incredible. It's been an incredible journey. But I just dropped a new book today. It released today, titled "The Power of Becoming: 7 Pillars of Growth and Empowerment." And it's ranked top bestseller, new release in humanist philosophy, and it was another genre. It ranks top there.
Yeah, I know a lot of. I'm not surprised. I know a lot of former athletes do the speaking circuit for inspiration. So, since you played football all of those years, how does all that stuff bleed into your writing?
Um, well, it's just taking because football was something that I loved, admired, embodied, and was truly, truly passionate about. So I was like, okay, it's just taking all that energy and then finding something else to put into it. I feel like every athlete goes through that phase of having to re-identify yourself once your sport comes to an end, and it's a battle. It's a battle for sure, but you always know it's like, man, when I find that next thing, whatever else it is, because I know when I get my all to something, what that feels like and what that looks like. So it's like, man, I just gotta find that next thing. And once you do, man, nothing is it's gonna be you're a force to be reckoned with for sure.
No, certainly, certainly. It was, yeah, I was never played team sports in any capacity. Because I can't throw anything or catch anything. So that was never my area, never my thing. I was inside in the theater in the concert hall. And everyone seems to always have these tremendous, insights of things that they you know, learned on the field or with different experiences or whatever have you. And so it would, yeah, that always just seems to abound in all those talks. Is you go to these conferences and inevitably someone who's played something they have
Yeah,
hired to come and speak about how they used to play something and how it can, help your business or whatever have you. Um, and so, yeah, it's a very difficult, it's a very difficult thing, but it's good. I mean, that yes, turning that passion to something else, in kind of life after football is very, very important because that I think I've always felt that's, and I don't know if you feel similarly. Um, and this is even true for things like ballet, which has also a short lifespan, is you just spend so many years and that's absolutely everything you do and everything and your life turns on that. And then one day it's kind of over sort of thing.
yeah,
Um, and I guess like this question is kind of germane to the book then. I found an avenue. Um, is so when you were done with college, NFL didn't happen or you didn't want to go that direction and you decided to teach in China, what was that? How did you come to decide you wanted to teach English in China? How did you make that decision?
that's a great question. So once last game of my career came to end, I wasn't sad or nothing because truly playing Division I football was the biggest dream and goal that I had. Of course, everybody wants to make it to the league one day, but I knew it. I definitely wanted to play Division I football. So I was just really, just truly grateful and just my heart full of gratitude for just accomplishing something that I truly wanted to accomplish. So I was truly content and was looking forward to just that next chapter. I knew it was great because I'm like, I don't know what's what I'm gonna do next. I have no clue, but I just got to figure it out. I got to just try a bunch of different stuff, and then you know what I'm saying. I'll figure it out eventually. So I was just applying for jobs and mainly corporate positions. I'm talking. I'm getting flown out. I'm getting put up in hotels, like the whole nine. I'm doing this for months, and I kept getting told no. Every job that I truly wanted, or you know what I'm saying, that I truly wanted, I kept getting told no. And I was like, okay, I done graduated at this point. Like I started applying for jobs when the football season that ended in November. I
right.
done graduated and I still ain't found nothing. I was like, okay, this is a lot more challenging than I thought it was going to be. Um, but I'm like, well, let's reapproach this thing because clearly we've been trying corporate. Corporate might not be for you, family.
Right.
Time and time again, you keep getting told no. So it's like, let's try something else. What else are you good at? Talking with people, working with people. You're a people's person, so okay, let's just see what I can find in whatever capacity that can be. And one day I was job searching, I seen a tab that I never noticed before. It said international. I said, man, why haven't I thought to look outside the U.S. for opportunities? The world is so huge. So I clicked on the tab, and that's when I say, oh yeah, teach English kids in China. Applied, and they was like, yeah, we want to move forward with you as a candidate after the interview process and all of that. So I was like, okay, yeah. After months of being told no, finally get a yes, and it's on the other side of the world. Shit, man, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what we're finna do.
That's no, I mean that's quite impressive. Let's look at the other end now. So you arrive back in the US. It's been a whirlwind 2 weeks, sort of thing. You were going out, then you were in the jail, and then right to the airport, and you're back, in Los Angeles, whatever your port of entry was. Um, what happened, when your feet hit the ground in the US, what happened after that? What are you in anything? What were you feeling? What were you going through?
I was just happy, definitely happy to be out and be free and know I'm heading back. But it was still like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I'm back to square one all over again, just like when football ended. I'm like, just like I did the first time, I'll figure something out. I'll figure it out. But it's mainly just, I don't know, just being in the moment, honestly. Trying to figure out how to get my money back from, because it's still in China. So I'm like, I got to figure all that out, how I'm going to get that back. Uh, and then, of course, I'm just linking up with people, just seeing friends and family. Um, and I ain't really start writing the book until that summer. So it was just plenty of time, just me, just and living life to fullest, honestly. Fullest. I was like, man, I was locked up. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was gonna be over with, but it's like, hey, we lit. So yeah, that's all it
No, no,
was.
no, that's no, I mean, I imagine that must have been a lot. The bounce back is quite impressive. I think I would have just sat in the airport for a long while and just been unable to move. So you were a little bit faster than I would be. That's
Like, never let a hard time humble us. Post Nipsey Hussle.
Yes, they certainly can. I want to talk about your other books because you mentioned two of them were romance. And I laugh because I had a woman on named Christina Braver recently who is a woman that writes romance, all this type of thing. The romance genre is primarily written by women
Yeah,
for other women.
correct.
So why did you decide to write a romance book?
Well, funny story. The same friend, DeMarco,
This
that's
is a podcast where this is where you tell funny stories. That's how this works. This only works if you tell funny stories.
his story. So the same partner, DeMarco, he was like, when 14 days was going crazy, he was like, hey, bro, you got to write the romance next. You got to write the romance. Because at that point in time, I was in a relationship when I went to China and all that ended. You know what I'm saying? Once I came back. So he's like, "Well, you got to write that story. You got to write the story." I'm like, "Bro, I am not trying to write that. I'm not trying to tap back into those emotions. None of that. I'm trying to just leave that be. I'm content with 14 days. I'm not even like pressed to put out anything else." But he just kept telling me to do it. I was like, so it's months and months have passed. Probably almost a year done passed, and I took a course on just writing and self publishing just to learn more about the field and the industry. And and part of the course I paid for is some of the genres, and it said romance was the top selling genre. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, I don't hit number one in a lot of genres, but I ain't okay. So I'm like, it was just a challenge for me. Then I saw that, I said, okay, bet. So I hit Cuz up. I said, hey, send me an outline for the romance genre. Send me the outline. I know that thing got about 2.5 weeks. And boom, you know what I'm saying? And broke it up in two parts. Then just, you know what I'm saying? So that's how that came to be. Yeah.
No, that's quite impressive. It's definitely interesting to have a male voice in that sort of genre. That's very different from what usually who usually writes it and who's it's written
Yeah.
for. So
Another thing too, because I was like, I knew it was a female dominated genre. So it was like, okay, for sure. Authenticity sells. Anything that's taboo gains attention. So it's like, for sure. I'm like, it just makes sense to do it. So
yeah, no, absolutely. What's the main thrust and plot of that book?
it's just pretty much a man's first step towards gaining emotional intelligence.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a lump sum. That's literally what the game is about, honestly. But it also, like I said, all three books coincide. So, You Love, You Learn pretty much takes place before 14 Days of Beijing, and then you got 14 Days of Beijing. And then Real Love Never Dies. It touches on China when I was in China prior to getting arrested, and then it recaps after what it just takes up. It takes after 14 days in Beijing. Once I get to the airport in America, I think I was in Seattle. Yeah, when I landed in Seattle, boom, it picks up from what happened uh, for the next couple of months, which was the breakup I went through as well. So it's juicy. It's juicy for sure. Yeah, get to see
No,
them.
no, no. It's been some time seeing anyone now.
Yes.
Well, that's good. Yes.
But
Yes. I don't imagine someone like you would stay single for very long. So
yeah.
that's no, that makes perfect sense. What is your favorite part about the writing process?
Um, you said my favorite what?
Your favorite part about writing, the writing process?
Uh, honestly, I enjoy it all. From the brainstorming to getting it down on paper, that's fun to me. To the intricate details when it comes to setting it up, the way I like to set it up on Amazon or whatever. And then, of course, just the marketing behind it as well. I enjoy the entire process, honestly. Couldn't say I have a specific favorite. This is all just fun to me. It's just creating. It's like it's a creative project you need to do, and it's not no school assignment. You know what I'm saying? It's something you just want to do. You know what I'm saying? Creatively. And so it's like it's no rules. It's no nothing. You can do whatever you want. So yeah, it's fun.
No, no, absolutely. What are you working on now?
Continue to market the power of becoming. So that's the objective right now. Is already doing well on the charts. So it's just keep foot on the gas. keep putting keep putting.
Well, and you aren't good at planning on writing something else?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. After our 14 days in Beijing is gonna be my only book, but clearly I told a lot. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna come up with something else. I just as of right now, I'm not sure.
No,
What
you need like a nice like football player college romance story or something. That's yeah, yes, you need something like that. Like, you know.
what
So always write what you know is the first rule.
that's you love you learn. Essentially. That's you learn. Because I play college football, so it's literally all of that too.
Oh,
Um,
good. Excellent. Yes, yes. Well, there's definitely, I'm sure, more to plumb there. So
yeah,
that's
sure.
very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna figure something else out. But content creating, that's something I've been dabbling in for the past few years as well, and had success with certain posts. So, um, my biggest goal, the end goal for me, is to turn 14 Days of Beijing into some type of film or show series, animation, or something. That's the end goal for me, for sure.
No, that's no, I think it would be very that would be very interesting and there's lots of new potentialities out there for that either as an indie with a little bit of fundraising. Did you hear Cat Williams is opening a new movie studio in Georgia?
Now, I didn't know it was in Georgia, but I heard he was opening up a new one.
I believe it is in Georgia. Tyler Perry, move over. So that's you're getting a new neighbor. So, yeah, no, that's no, that's really, yeah, there's lots of possibilities that that'd be really cool. Absolutely, absolutely excellent. How would you describe your style if someone was getting ready to read your books?
Um, for the most part, right now it's gonna be storytelling. Storytelling. See what I'm saying? I'm telling like true stories of what happened from start to finish, but it's always gonna be um insightful as well as entertaining. Um, there's always something you can take away from anything that I put out in some form of facet.
No, absolutely. Quite impressive, quite interesting. That's a very it's kind of funny you should mention that. One of the kind of habits I had to break myself of is I love to naturally tell stories leading from experience or things that I've heard from people or all this type of thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't often make for very good writing in the traditional literary sense. So I kind of had to get used to, you know, storytelling through description and dialogue and all this type of thing. But sometimes, and I kind of do this with short stories, sometimes it's kind of like, no, I just want to relate what happened to you. I don't necessarily want to go through recreating. I want you to experience what happened and how and all this sort of thing. And there's some really great traditions of that in short stories in short storytelling. There we go. Um, and uh, um, and so I like that as a style that's kind of where I started from before I, learned everything else and got an
Yeah.
MFA and all that fun stuff.
14 Days in Beijing, the original version was a short story. It was like 30 some pages. And that's what
Yeah.
craziest. 30,
No, no, no. I think there's a lot of it that comes a bit naturally. So when I did my MFA, I was working on my creative project, which is called Sweetgrass Saga, and it is Downton Abbey set in the antebellum South.
okay.
Only it's basically Gone with the Wind, but this time we actually get to hear from the black people. Um, and it's set on the plantation, loosely based on the plantation where my family is from, called Bowling Green in northeastern Mississippi.
Wow.
Yeah, because my father is a genealogy nerd, and so he has gone and figured all this stuff out. And so,
All right.
um, yeah, and so alongside, so in the process of my writing and researching for that, I then went and read just everything I could get kind of my hands on, in terms of Black narratives, Black slave narratives. I wrote my long critical paper on the importance of Black narratives in the great American literary canon and why it's not there and how that needs to be fixed right away, sort of thing. But the thing, and there's a point to this story, I promise,
No.
is I think the thing that I found most interesting is how natural I think storytelling comes to the diaspora in this country. And I was reminded of something a professor in college told me named Dr. Anita Fleming Rife. Um, and she was talking about, griots in Africa, a lot of African tribes, their only history was oral. And once the last one died, that was the end of their history, sort of thing. Writing, it was not always developed everywhere. And I think so much of that storytelling tradition, that keeping of oral history, has just stayed with us on this side of the Atlantic. Um, and I think that's just all, so anytime someone has a chance to do that or use that sort of style where it starts out as a sort where it's just relating what happens and then expands on it, I always feel like that's a bit of a gift from the past. Um,
That's what I think my publishing company around. So it's Corley Publications LLC. Corley is my middle name. It means the core, the bare essence. And that's what we bring, the bare essence of entertainment. And like you said, what we do back in the day, we ain't had no TVs, no phone, no tablets, none of that.
yeah.
I'm talking radios, all that. What do we do to entertain ourselves? Tell
No, no,
stories.
one of the things I talked about in my long paper on it is because I was talking about how I had really worked in my book to kind of jam in a lot of stuff that I had been told. And one of my friends, Miss Terry, was the black mother. My mom was white. She was the black mother I didn't know I needed. And we had been friends since 2008. And she would always ask me, she's like, why does no one ever write about a lot of the stuff that happened to us during slavery and during Jim Crow and Reconstruction? And I said, a lot of it just wasn't written down. She's like, yeah, I know. It's stories kept in families. And so I wrote about that. Like a lot of this in a proud African tradition was kept orally. Literacy was rates
Yeah,
were not high into the 20th century. A lot of this stuff was kept orally. And so a lot of stuff and things we know that went on with different things was kept in stories in families. And I told her, I said, I will do my part. I will put together an academic paper with this stuff and say, yeah, I went out, I talked to people, I conducted interviews here, here's the start of it, and encourage other people to do the same, to begin the process of writing it down. And it's kind of odd to be like, it's been 150 years since slavery. We haven't written this down yet. No, like, no, we haven't.
right.
Yeah, and so yeah, so I just but I think quantifying that oral tradition into written literature is so important. So I'm just glad you were inspired to write down your own story and find your own unique voice in relating it as well. So that's quite spectacular. I told you there was a point to this whole thing.
No, I appreciate it though. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. So you started in the publishing business. Are you publishing anyone else right now or just yourself?
So I've worked with countless people, especially since 14 days, the original book. I worked with countless
Yeah.
people. I've only had two people actually finish and see it all the way through the way, at least like adopt my formula and see it all the way through. I only had two people do that, and both of their books were #1 as well. So they let me know.
Wonderful.
So I know, I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm.
No, no, no. I mean, we receive probably several dozen book ideas leads at something that they're publishing all the time. And out of a dozen, one may actually go all the way. So I'm not surprised. Ideas are cheap, writing is expensive and time consuming. So it's, yeah, I mean, definitely, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it appears you've really, lit upon something. So that's quite amazing. So
Shout out
it's
to McKinney, that's the first author, and then Tanisha Sattler. At the time, Tanisha, she was only 15 years old when hers went #1. And hers was #1 for like 9 straight days. So yes, big shout out to her too.
no, 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 that's quite impressive. So, well, excellent. So this is the part of the show where we do plugs.
Okay.
So, why don't you let us know where we can keep up with you online, where we can buy your book, all this sort of thing.
Oh man, the best search engine, Google Chancellor K. Jackson. Everything you need will pop up from my social media accounts, website, books, other podcast interviews I've done, the whole nine. So now that's the best way to find everything I'm doing. Y'all go get y'all a copy of The Power of Becoming, available now on Amazon. And any inspired authors out there, tap in with your boy.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the Cameron Journal podcast.
Hey man, appreciate you. Blessings. Everybody that tuned in for the whole episode, I told you you're a real MVP.
That's all for this episode of the Cameron Journal podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Visit us online at CameronJournal.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I love to talk to my followers and listeners, so please feel free to get us on social media at Cameron Cowan on Twitter, and we'll see you next time on the Cameron Journal podcast.